things in the sky. I've only caught brief glances, and it was enough to give me shell shock, so much so that I don't want to even try committing to paper what I remember. I never look up anymore on the off chance the almost omnipresent fog disperses enough to give a view of what waits above. A roiling mass of amorphous shapes, eyes, mouths, grasping tentacles, and pseudopods. You may have seen it, but if you're lucky and have not, don't look up. I saw one of the cyclopean things leisurely reach a tentacle down, pluck that 100-foot runt I mentioned from the ground, and slowly devour it, as that runt bellowed in pain and what I took to be fear. If runts are intelligent enough to know fear, I tell myself that we humans are too small for the things up there to take notice. It's the only way I can be out of doors, having that faith. Loki's tears. Told you I'd use Loki for something, and yes, I know they look like grapes and not tears. Loki's grapes is a terrible name, so don't suggest it. So Loki's tears, something else Reed told me about. He had another name I've since forgotten. So what are they? Yes, they resemble pitch-black, shiny grape clusters. Do not eat. These things are deadly poison. Pinching the fruit will cause a black, sap-like juice to drip out. See? Tears. Don't get any on you. Coating weapons with this is tricky but deadly when used. I don't know if it's enough to take down a runt, but I've seen it put down a blood ape in less than a minute, when it was shot with an arrow dipped in the juice. There is an antidote, though I've only seen it once. Reed always has some on him. I think he fears assassination. Antidote to Loki's tears. Maybe I'll come back and put a more creative name later. I buried a friend today, and I'm writing and drawing to put my mind on other things, and it's not working. This plant only grows near ponds. Ponds are rare in the areas I've been. I hear that to the south the climate is more wet than here. Maybe they're more prevalent there. The sap from this plant, when ingested, counters the poison of Loki's tears, or so Reed claims. Never seen it in action myself. Reed is many things, but liar is not one of them, so we can take him at his word on this. The Devil's Sons and Big Jim Reed, the dickhead. I keep referencing Reed and the Devil's Sons as if everyone knows who he is and what they are. Jim Reed is the leader of what I consider a cult. His people call him the Messiah. Yeah, no kidding. They're an outlaw motorcycle gang on the surface. Yes, they dabble in the expected. Drugs, prostitution, racketeering, intimidation, etc. That's the regular club members. The inner circle is much worse. Black magic voodoo fuckheads. Doom end-of-the-world cult bullshit. Back in the real world, the strong ones, they can reach through and pull beings from this world into ours. They can do other things as well. Make rooms go black as a cave. Conjure fire out of nothing. Make people rot from the inside out. Horrible things I've seen them do. Reed can tear through the fabrics of dimensions and move himself and others between the two planes. It all comes with a price, though. First, their eyes go white. They're not blind, but they can see both planes of existence overlapped, which should drive a man mad, I would think. After the eyes, they start to rot. All of them except Reed. He has the eyes, but no rot. The rest are tainted by the power they draw from this place, but not Reed. Nope. He's a monster who looks like a man. I don't know what he is, but he can't be human. Right when I first got here, a cat named Wheeze told me how Reed initially took over the charter. He told a story of how he had eaten the heart of the old club president, tore it out while it was still beating, killed the VP that same night, and anyone who resisted thereafter. Wheeze was just a soldier. He didn't know much beyond gossip, but he claimed to be there. at that specific event. I tried to ask questions but ran into enough walls I finally gave up and let Wheeze blather. He said that Reed was growing their ranks, patching over other clubs up and down the East Coast and steadily moving west. Sounds like normal bad guy plotting, I don't know. Maybe Reed is just human, but knows something he's not sharing with the rest of them? Something he undoubtedly learned from Winthrop. Speaking of monsters, I'll have to explain him next. Any event, as for the end of the world, I'm not privy to Reed's plans, but I know he's working towards some endgame, which now officially leads me to Houston Winthrop and Jedediah Burke. To put it simply, Houston Winthrop is the brains and Jedediah Burke is the brawn. Winthrop was already an elder statesman in the 1800s. Somehow, through his connections with this place and what other evil powers he may possess, he's still rambling around at roughly 230 years old. From what I've gathered, Burke is cut from the same cloth in longevity, but I've surmised it's by the administrations of Winthrop and not any innate power. At first, I thought he'd spent enough time jumping back and forth between worlds that it gave the illusion of preternatural longevity. Time moves differently here, after all. Reed overheard me speculating to Jim Peters, who I buried some days ago, may he rest in peace, and told me I was mistaken, that Winthrop was indeed well over 200 years old, and Burke behind by maybe 40 years or so. So who is Winthrop? More crazy and evil than Reed, and 20 eaters wrapped up together in a burrito of doom. When I first met him, he was slowly cutting a mocking message into the living skin of an adversary's fiancée. She was administered a paralytic to keep her still, but she was awake and felt all of it. That's the kind of man he is. Winthrop is also the man with the plan. Whatever Reed has cooking in his apocalypse kitchen, it's Winthrop's recipe. He was part of a circle of occultists back in Europe. They were the ones who discovered, or possibly rediscovered, this world. They began exploring its lands and exploiting the powers they drew from it. I don't know why, but Winthrop murdered the 7 other members of his circle. The cabal was officially ended, and Winthrop was the only one left standing. Well, Winthrop and Burke. Burke was Winthrop's henchman back in those early days and has remained so over the centuries. Recently, Winthrop has started to rebuild his circle of 8. Reed was the first convert. Then came that snake Jeremiah Weatherly. Next was Isabel Radu. I suppose I'll have to explain Isabel as well. The other 4 are irrelevant because I blew them up, literally, like with a bomb. That was around the time I got away from Reed as well. I know that he's still looking for me, but I've managed to keep ahead of him and the Devil's Sons. I'm more worried about Winthrop. I have a feeling he's even more furious than Reed, and even more capable of finding things that are hidden. In this case, yours truly, Isabel Radu. You'll notice she looks cruel and evil. I didn't always see her as such. I had plenty of other drawings of Is that I've since burned. This is the true Isabel. Without going too in-depth, I thought I was in love with this woman once upon a time, until I realized she was just as black-souled as the rest of them. And because I'm a fool, I waited until she had left the fort before I detonated my makeshift doomsday bomb. As a result, I only managed to exterminate Sokolov, Kato, Millstone, and Zachariah. Winthrop, Burke, Reed, Weatherly, and Isabel, all unscathed. This was the world's chance, and I couldn't do it. I suppose you can say my broken heart doomed us all. Though to be fair, I'm not entirely convinced it would have killed Winthrop. I have a sinking feeling he would have brushed the dust from his shoulders and walked it off. I've written all I care to about that group for now. Chock. I took to calling him Chock, and he seemed to like it. Comes from a sound he likes to make, mimicking Reed's train. Chalk is the child of an eater birthed by a non-eater woman. Without going into gory details, I'm sure you can figure out how that came to pass. I'm told she barely survived the attack, and months later didn't survive the birth. I'd say that Chalk is somewhat of a mascot, but that would insinuate he was treated well, which he is not, at least based on the time I've been here. He's kicked, pushed, cuffed, mocked. Sons throw things at him. Cans, rocks. They call him Shitbird. In fact, one of the sons tried trading him to a group of eaters who came through some months back. They didn't want him, said he was Kisnek. Don't know what Kisnek means, but it wasn't a compliment. Admittedly, Reed had the man shot, but that's only because Chalk is useful to him. Chalk knows the train. He doesn't speak, but he can damn near run that thing solo. He grew up on it, knows how it works. What makes it tick? Seems somehow he's connected to the soot-belching monstrosity. I've never liked trains, so I have a hard time grasping the joy that thing brings him. It's loud, and it gives me anxiety. Traveling the wastes in it is terrifying to say the least, but better than on foot, for sure. With that said, I like Chalk. He's a good kid. Reminds me a little of Gollum from Tolkien's Lord of the Rings, but a good kid nonetheless. Oh yeah, Reed's train. Depot 7. There's a place not too far from where I am now that's on Old Train Depot. It's from my world. Fell through a thin, which happens more than you would think. Train depot, telegraph poles, an entire circus train. No shit, I'm not kidding. Anyway, the train parts mostly rusted and turned to dust, but Reed had his blacksmith people make new parts to replace the old. Had tracks laid for miles and miles. He plans to keep it going. Another plan I don't have the full details of. Depot 7 is where Chalk lives. That's where I'm headed now, hoping to free the kid and steal the train. Get him to come with me after that if he'll leave Mercy behind. That's the name of the train. No clue why. Reed named it. You'd think he'd call it the Viper, or Death on Wheels, or some shit. No, it's Mercy. Go figure. Somnia Divoranantis. Thinking of Depot 7 puts me onto this lovely. I think Reed was fucking with me, or just showing off when he name-dropped this thing. Means dream devourer, in Latin, and it's a mouthful. Maybe that is what it's called. Who's to say at this point? Any event, this creepy crawler gave me bad dreams when Reed described it. Apparently, one is nesting nearby Depot 7, so he made everyone aware of what it is and what it does. The short version is it plugs into your head with one of its numerous proboscis, keeps you in a perpetual dream state while it feeds on you. You waste away until you die, and you're none the wiser until it's curtains. I guess I can think of worst ways to go. Hell, I've seen the worst ways. Be that as it may, I'd rather not meet one. I don't know if my picture did it justice. I haven't actually seen one. That's how it was described to me. Reed said the first time he saw one, it was feeding on a family of 8. Super cool, right? Self-portrait. That's a fair representation. Complete disclosure. The first one I drew had me looking like a hippie version of Superman. Further disclosure, my hair is matted, but I chose to draw how it used to look before I became a caveman of the wastes.
Oh.